Hi, I'm Doug Fryer with Extract Lab, United Science, here to show you how to operate the new M-2.5 Supercritical CO2 extraction system. We have just a single CO2 cylinder that's going to supply CO2 to the instrument. My process connections are all made. So open up the valve on the CO2 cylinder. Then our inlet valve here is, right now it's closed, but this, we're going to slowly open this up and you can actually feel the CO2 go through the valve as you do this. Now we have supplied CO2 to the system. And the next thing to do is to turn the chiller on. We just have a simple power button that will power the system on. This chiller is set to -15°C. Once we have CO2 into the system, we can see what the inlet pressure is here. We're at about 780 PSI. Inlet temperature right now is still warm because the chiller has not kicked in. And once we get that down below 10 to 15°C, we'll be ready to go. We have both manual control of the solvent pump and the co-solvent pump, but we also can operate them directly from the HMI. Entering set points on here is just simply a matter of a touch screen. So we enter the value and it registers that value. And if we turn the system on, and we just hit on, it will turn that pump on. Next, we need to supply air, or in this instance, nitrogen, to the system. Nitrogen is already supplied. We've got these set to proper set points, about 70 PSI. And we open up the flow, and when this goes green, the system is actively being purged. And that is the basis of our C1D2 status of this instrument, is to continuously purge the inside environment with nitrogen so it's in the safe operating condition all the time. The heaters are controlled from the HMI as well. So actually setting those, in this instance, the preheater, set the set point to where we want it to be. Just hit the entry. There's a maximum set point and where it actually is right now. So say we want to extract at 60 degrees, we hit enter. And as soon as we start the pump, this will actively start to heat and the preheater light there will come on. The flow path of the system, we're coming from the recycler and or the CO2 supply coming in through the pre-chiller, then being fed to the CO2 pump here, out of the CO2 pump to the extractor, out of the extractor to the BPR, out of the BPR to the collector, out of the collector to the recycler, and then the CO2 goes around the loop. So generally we increase the temperature and pressure in the extraction vessel as a way to extract whatever it is you're trying to get out of your biomass or material, and then we drop the pressure to get that extracted material to condense out of the liquid CO2 flow. Once you reach your extraction pressure, then everything is set. You can just start your timer. In this instance, we're running in a manual mode, but there are automated ways to run it as well. So here are our extraction conditions. How long do we want to run for? So let's set this just for 20, just so we have a mock setup here. How fast do we want our CO2 to flow at? 300 mils a minute is the maximum flow. Do we want co-solvent flow? In this instance, we don't, so we're just going to leave that at 0. Additionally, there is an inlet valve that pumps the process fluid from the co-solvent pump into the stream of the inlet CO2 fluid. We've established and displayed running in manual mode as well as running in a method or an automated mode. The only thing left to do here would be to let this method complete itself and then start the venting process. So there are inlet and outlet valves on the column itself that we just simply close. So now the column is isolated. We can go to our vent screen. It's going to take 6 minutes, 360 seconds, to go from wherever it is now to 100 PSI. Get out of this screen, I go back home, and then I simply hit the vent off button. We vented all the pressure out, just confirmed that there was nothing else left. I'm detaching at the outlet of the column. I'm detaching at the inlet to the isolation valve. And the last one that I'll open is on top of the machine up here. So we can pull this tubing assembly off, that will then give us access to the cap, and then we'll show putting new material in. So taking the cap off, you can spin this off by hand, but if you need to, there is a supplied spanner wrench, so you can disassemble the column. Once you get it started, it actually rotates fairly easily. I have a bag of new material ready to go for loading into the column. You put the new bag in, The cap goes back on top. You reapply the tubing, pressurize the column, and you're ready to go. That's back on. 1/4 turn past finger tight. Confirm that everything is snug. And the system is now ready to pressurize. So we will bleed pressure in from upstream. We have pressure going through. I now have a flow path. I can simply start my next run or my next manual run by just turning the pump back on, and it will start extracting the next batch. Thanks.